Okay, so I want to show you how to create brushes in Photoshop. Brushes are a lot of fun, and there's so much that you can do with them. So to begin with, the first thing I did was I set my workspace to painting. Now, it doesn't really matter if you don't. If you're in Essentials, that's totally fine, but you might want to just switch it to painting. Then what happens is you're going to have the brush presets and the brush window. These are your two big windows that you're going to work with. Now, you can see too, when you're right in your brush presets window, if you click this, what it does is it toggles the brush panel. So there we have it. So for instance, if you did not have this one open and you were here and you clicked it, it would open it right up because they're both totally related to one another, and same with brush presets right here. So here goes. I'm going to go File and I'm going to place an image right in here. I'm going to come onto my desktop, and I have all of these different images. I'm going to start with this one. Now when I place it in, I come on in, I hit my white arrow at the top, the move tool. I click on this, I place the file. Now my layer comes in as a smart object, so I need to rasterize the smart object. Rasterize smart object. Okay, now I can make a selection. I'm going to just grab my quick selection tool, make a nice quick selection, and then to make it into a paintbrush, I come Edit and I click Define Brush Preset. This is going to be brush 759. I hit OK. Great, and then I'm going to deselect. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to turn this layer off, and I'm going to grab my brush so I can actually turn on and find this brush, and I'm going to look for brush 759 as I come on through, and I can see there it is right there. So I come on in now and I can choose a color. So maybe I want to say, I'm going to make this pink. My opacity is down 28%, so let me up my opacity. And what I can see happens is it creates almost a stamp of this image. Now, what happens as you look at this, why does it not look exactly the same? Well, first of all, I don't want it to look the exact same, right? And the other thing is that what Photoshop does when it creates a paintbrush is it takes the image and it creates a value scale of it. So anywhere that's real light becomes more transparent. In order to see this a little bit more, I just created a layer underneath and I'm going to fill it with a color. So I'll come in, I'll go Edit, Fill, and I'm going to choose a color, and I'm going to choose a yellow. No, you know what? I'm going to do that a little bit different. Do a blue. I'll say OK. All right, so now I can see it much, much better. So again, I can click, click, click. Now, when I look at my brushes as well, I can do other things to my brushes. I come on into my brush presets. Let's say that I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. Well, I could do that without a doubt. Come on up here and say, I'm going to make it a little bit more pixels. Now, again, one thing we want to be careful of with this, though, is that doesn't get so pixelated because that may actually happen if we go too big. So now what else I could do is I could take this, I could up the spacing a little bit so I can see it a little bit better, and I can flip it. So I have an XY axis. If I wanted this to be at the bottom, oriented a little bit differently, I could. I can change the color of this as well. We go more for a yellow. All right, and there we have it. So lots of different opportunities to work with. I'm just going to do one more. I'm going to come on in, File, Place, and let's see, I'm going to find this little image right here of a little yellow flower. And again, I need to hit the white arrow and place it. It comes on into its own layer. Now, without a doubt, if I want to put things behind one another, I need to totally organize it onto layers. So definitely make sure that you create different layers and organize things. So I come on up to here and I want to layer. I want to rasterize my smart object again. And what I'm going to do now is come on in and make a selection of this. Great, with that tool right there. Okay, and then real quickly again, edit. I want to just come define brush preset. This one's going to be brush 1053. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Now another thing I could do is I could take this little selection right here. I'm going to create a new layer and I can make 2 brushes. I could also come up and say edit. I could fill this selection with a color. It's another option. So many the possibilities are endless. Okay. Okay. Whenever you have a selection, it will only do that area. Now I'm going to make this into a brush too. Edit, define brush preset. Okay. All right. So I have 2 different brushes now. I have, now this one is this nice fill. It's on its own layer, so I can move this one around. So when I come on in and take a look here, I grab my brush in order to work with this. I can see that I have 2 different options and I need to find them. Sometimes I find that sometimes the hardest thing is actually finding them inside of here. But I have these 2 new things, and what I want to do is actually I'm going to put them more on this layer right here, and let me try to find them. Oh, here they are right there. All right, so here's my first one. Now I can change the color. It's yellow, so I could put this right over top of this and see how the 2 of them are coming together. It actually looks kind of cool. Now I could make it much smaller if I wanted to as well. So I could come in and say, oh, I want this to be really small. That's really small. Make it a little bit bigger. All right, but again, we can move all around and create some really interesting compositions with brushes. Now again, 1048 is going to be a little bit different, brush 1048. And the reason why it will be different is because it is, it's just the pixels. So make sure that I have my brush now. B is for brush. And again, I can change the color. I can click. Whoops, or that hit the whole thing. Let me undo this. Change the size. The size just got way too big. There we go. Now it's starting to work. And as I can click, what's really kind of cool about when you do a fill is it has a much more graphic image. So there we have it. There's a nice quick overview of brushes, and we can see that we can create some really interesting and fun compositions. Thanks so much.